Alright, guys. Hey, everybody. This is Friday afternoon, a little late, understandably, for the report this week. I know I missed last week, and that you guys have been getting on me about it. Believe it or not, even though I am currently unemployed, I still do other things. Um, so I'm going to try and get them out every week. I'm going to try and be better about getting them out on time, but can't promise anything. Anyway, we're going into week 3. We're noticing a couple patterns here now. We have some clear good teams and some clear bad teams. First, I want to do a little housekeeping. I think I'm still deciding, but we might move the playoffs to a 6-team playoff instead of 4. It really doesn't change anything. It would just add a um, additional. It would add 2 more teams, obviously, but it would still be the same number of weeks, and it would give the top 2 teams a bye. So there's still doesn't really change anything. Even if you have 4 teams, you're still playing 2 games. So I might just do it because I feel like if we start to get really separated in the league with good teams and bad teams, and there's not a whole lot of chance to make the playoffs. And really, I think as many people should make the playoffs as we can, just to make it interesting at the end of the year, keep people from yard sailing, like Mitch. But so I'm still mulling that around. I probably will switch it to 6 teams. I'm not sure when. I'm also going to put a trade deadline in. I haven't come up with a date for that yet, but that will be coming soon. Just so you guys know. Also, obviously, some people might already be thinking about their keepers. But for next year, obviously, you can't keep someone who you already kept or who was picked in the first round. Regardless, the first round rule applies across the board. As far as trading keepers at the end of the year, I'm going to look into how we want to play that. So anyway, on to this week. This week we got a lot of good matchups. Now that I have asserted dominance over my division at a strong 3-0 with the most points scored, it is now me taking on John this week. So that'll be a good game. I am excited to see what happens. I think it's pretty neck and neck between me and John. I think it's one of the more even games this week, so we'll have to keep an eye on that and how it plays. Obviously, the top half of my lineup is better than his, and really the top half of the lineup is where championships are won. It has nothing to do with the bottom half of the roster. So, clearly I have the better team. So I am going to pick myself in that game, obviously. Even though last night Antonio Brown put on a lackluster performance compared to Justin Forsett, who John had in. We also have Jeff going against Jimmy in the least exciting game of the week, in my opinion, just because I feel like Jimmy's going to demolish Jeff completely. Jeff's team, I mean, it's funny, like, it's almost, it's like, it's very difficult to determine who has a good and who has a bad team, because I feel like everybody has had a great week and everybody's had an okay or even a really bad week, like Jeff did, not even putting up 60 points last week. That was so bad. So I think it's really tough to judge just how good these teams are based off of a couple weeks. But that being said, I feel like I can say with confidence Jeff has a bad team. I am very, very, very much looking forward to Jimmy beating him. I don't think that Jeff has any players even worth keeping. I think he should just dump the whole team, especially now that his boy Roethlisberger's injured. the hits just keep on coming for Jeff. But we'll see what he does this week. Who knows? He might escape defeat from Jimmy, but I doubt it. We also have Mitch playing Mike. So, and that's interesting because Mitch is projected significantly lower than Mike. I know he's got a couple people on bye, like his kicker and Julian Edelman, but I think that it's surprising that he was projected for such a low point number after doing really well lately. So, that being said, I think Mitch is going to win this one. I think Mike slips to 0-4. But if history is any indication, Mike will have the league exactly where he wants them at 0-4. I'd say, talk to Sippy about whatever his strategy was that year that he went 0-4 and then won the championship, and then the next year he went 0-4 and made the playoffs. And so whatever you gotta do, talk to Sip. I know it's awful taking advice from him, but I mean at this point, I think Mike falls to 0-4. Mitch steps up, and Mitch is maybe not the worst team. I know a lot of people like to shit on Mitch for what he does in his personal life, but Mitch's team isn't terrible. They've put together, not the worst start so far. So kudos to you, Mitch. Kudos to you. I respect it. I respect it. So we also have Will going against Kevin. And I guess I was mistaken about Jimmy and Jeff. I mean, Will and Kevin, I couldn't care less about either one of these teams, really. So I'm not really concerned with who wins. That being said, I do think Will is going to win. It'll come down to really Kevin's starters. I don't think have really performed lately outside of Steve Smith, and his supporting characters, if you will, are also going to need to have a big game to beat Will. I think Will has a lot of good matchups this week, like Keenan Allen and even Eli Manning. I think is going to do decently against the Bills. I know it's not a popular stance, but I think he's going to right the ship that is the New York Giants and get on a roll here. So we'll see. And obviously Arian Foster, as much of a question mark as he is, if he's in there and he's playing and he's doing, and he doesn't re-aggravate any injuries, I think he's going to be definitely a solid player for Will. And maybe Will can finally get back on track. I know he was waiting the first couple weeks of the season for something to pan out. So I think Will beats Kevin. That's the bottom line there. And then last is Josh and Sippy. And this is a tough game. Because really, I mean, I don't want Josh to win. But, Josh has a good team, and I respect that. Sippy also kind of has a pretty good team. I mean, he's had, I think, 2 good weeks. And he got a good performance out of his boy, Justin Tucker last night, obviously. I mean, anytime your kicker gets you 15 points, that's a great start to the week. Although, don't tell Mike that, because I'm pretty sure he had a kicker get 12 points last week and got stopped. So, but that being said, I think Sippy's going to win this one. I hope Sippy wins this one, believe it or not. Having Josh, nipping on my heels, I'd love to have a little bit of a cushion there in the division. And so we'll see how that plays out. The divisions have really shaken up the last couple of weeks. Just to go over it again, I am the only undefeated team, naturally. For those of you that don't know, I usually do very, very well in the regular season, just in time to choke in the playoffs. So here's to that start again. Right behind me is Josh at 2-1. And then we have Jeff, Jimmy tied at 1-2, and Mike is dragging ass at 0-3. And in the other division, in John's division, Snafu, we have Sippy in first at 2-1, with a solid 50-point lead on John for the tiebreaker, and even more on Will for the tiebreaker. And that really matters. The points scored matters. Anytime you can have a big week and get those points, I mean, that's the number one tiebreaker. And when it comes down to it, the chance of you tying on points is mathematically incredibly improbable over the course of the season. So really, points scored is the number one stat that you have to keep track of. It's not just about winning, it's about winning big. And other people having a bad week. So Jeff, for example, when he put up that absolute shit stain of a week last week, and I put up the most points, I gained so much on him as far as points that he's just so far behind me. I don't even know. I can't even see it. Nah, I can't see it. Can't even, not even close. So, but anyway, so Sippy's got a good lead this week in the standings. It's him, followed by John and Will, all tied at 2-1. And then Mitch and Kevin tied at 1-2. So that's John's division, Sippy's division, really, now that he's winning, is a very tight division. It's definitely much more evenly matched. I think there was a week where all of them were 1-1. So it's definitely a more evenly matched division, and I think that'll be really exciting to watch as the season goes on. With us, I think it's a little tighter, or a little not as tight. We have a lot more variation there. But obviously, I mean, only 3 games in, anything can happen. All it takes is a couple significant injuries to ruin a team, as a couple of us have already seen. I mean, look at Jeff. If Jeff had Ben Roethlisberger, Jordy Nelson, these guys, he would definitely have a team worth starting. But as it is, he should just give up. But obviously, injuries are very, very popular this year. So here's to hoping that teams stay healthy, or at least my team. All your guys can tear their ACLs for all I care. But so that's the wrap up on the standings. And good luck to everybody this week. And I do mean that, besides you, John, because now I'm not so concerned about now that I'm in first, I'm not so worried about everybody else. So John, I hope you lose. I hope all your players are taken out and cut from their respective teams and don't play in the league anymore. Everybody else, good luck. May the best man win, or woman in Jimmy's case. And that's for telling me that I didn't have anything to do today, Jimmy. So, you know what? Not a huge fan of all that sass, all this stuff you guys been giving me, all this ish. I have things to do, I am in grad school. I do have some things to do. So, anyway, guys, that's me signing off for the Commish Report Week 3. I will see you guys next week for the next one, Week 4.